everybody. Happy New Year. I hope you're all enjoying the very early days of this bright and promising new year. I am trusting that 2021 is going to be just a fantastic year for everyone in whatever that means to each of you. Now, as you know, I am a big fan, as is Dr. Julie, of really paying attention to not only how you are feeling in the here and now, but also how you would like to feel in the future. I am not a big fan of resolutions because most of the time, those really do become just oppressive rules in sheep's clothing. And most of the time, people don't even make it past the first week of resolutions and then they're kind of back into their comfortable routines and patterns. So rather than setting resolutions in the new year, I really like to think about how do I want to feel in this year? Sometimes I think about like what words do I really want to embody in this year, and how do I want to feel, and then from there I start to think about what things can I do, what experiences can I pursue, what opportunities can I take advantage of that will really help me then generate those feelings. I think this is a much more productive and soulful way of approaching the new year. Now, last year, my word for 2020 was joy. I was really intent on creating joy in my life in lots of different ways. And I'm really happy to say that I was able to do that last year. It certainly came about in lots of unexpected ways, as I think most of us can attest to, given all the turbulence of the year. But I'm really happy to say that joy actually is something that I really manifested for myself in really beautiful and inspiring ways. So I want you to think about like, what do you want your word, your intention to be for this year, really around the axle of how do you want to feel? Now, if you are like most of us, more joy is something that most humans are in search of. In fact, happiness is something that humans strive for all the time. Even when you think about the resolution to diet, which of course we are no dieting resolutions here in this group, but even people who are dieting really use that as a vehicle to try to achieve happiness. How often have you thought or heard others say, if I could just eat better or lose weight or get healthier, then I would be happier. So oftentimes the end goal is happiness or joy. Now, one of the things that we know about joy and happiness is that we actually can intentionally create more of this for ourselves. And there's a very specific practice that can help you do that. The single most powerful thing that you can do for yourself to generate happiness is to live in gratitude. I'm sure you all have heard this before, but I really want to flesh this out a little bit more today because it is that important and it is that powerful. Okay. So, the practice of gratitude is really about living from a place where you are focusing on not just what is going well, but what you already have in abundance within your life. Because when you're happy with what you have, you are happy. You're not always chasing the next thing. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not goal driven, that you're not striving to continue to improve and experience more or accomplish more, but you are truly, truly, truly content in this moment right now with all that you have in abundance. And this is an intention to shift your perspective because our survival brain is designed to find the negative. It's designed to find the lack and the scarcity. If you think about this from a survival perspective, that makes a lot of sense, right? So, on some level, our brain is constantly scanning for what is going wrong, what could go wrong, the negatives, the bad things, and the lacking in our lives, because that is what can motivate us to try harder, do better, seek out something different, because we're really paying attention to what's not good and what's not going well. So we have to be intentional to balance out that negative scanning with more positive scanning. And gratitude is the way we can do this. So we have to intentionally focus on what is already going well. What are the good things? What do we already have that we are so grateful and thankful for? Now, there's a very, very, very important disclaimer here, which you'll hear me talk about all the time whenever I mention gratitude, and that is gratitude is never meant to be used to sugarcoat or silver line pain, suffering, problems, and challenges. Okay. Those things are real. And we want to hold a space within ourselves to feel that pain, to honor that pain. We don't want to try to cover it up and sugarcoat it with gratitude. That's inauthentic and disingenuous, and it's going to leave us feeling really bad. Okay. So, what I'm talking about with gratitude is a balancing of space for pain and space for happiness, space for goodness, space for abundance. It's a both and, not an either or. Okay. So, how do we practice gratitude? Well, the key word is practice, right? This is a skill. This is something that we have to intend to do and then do it over and over and over again until we really develop that muscle memory so that seeing things from a lens of gratitude becomes our norm. But if you're like most humans, you're going to default to noticing the bad. Okay, that's just the survival part of your brain. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not negative. You're not cynical. That's just how we're designed. But the wonderful thing is, our brain has plasticity. We can change that, but we have to be intentional. Okay. So living with gratitude is a way of being. And there are things that you can do to practice that way of being. And one of the best ways to really get into a practice of gratitude is to do gratitude journaling. Okay. Now, when I say journaling, I do not mean getting out paper and writing a long entry. For most people, that's very cumbersome. It's something that they might do very occasionally, but rarely is this something that they'll do regularly. So, what we want to do is keep this gratitude journaling super simple and super quick. The easier it is and the less time it takes, the more likely you are to do it. All right. So, we just want to work with ourselves, not against ourselves, and make this act something that's really doable on a daily basis. So, let me share with you what I do for my gratitude journaling. I've been practicing this consistently for about 3 years now, and it's something that I look forward to every day, and it really has become the way that I see the world. So, I still notice the negative and the bad and the lack, and I still get caught in that thinking sometimes, but my brain is more oriented now towards finding the good. What is the good that has come out of this experience, or what do I already have, even though my brain is showing me what I'm lacking? What do I already have that I'm really grateful for? And it really allows me to live in a space of appreciation, which is really peaceful. And when I feel peaceful, guess what? I feel joyful and happy. Okay. So I'm sharing with you the gratitude journal that I use. This one I find on Amazon. It's about $7. It is from the company prettysimplebooks.com. So you could easily, if you type in gratitude journal, I actually think this is the number one seller on Amazon that pops up. So you could easily grab a copy for yourself. Inside, they have 7 days per 2-page spread and just a list for 3 items that you're grateful for. It's very, very simple. It's the same thing every week. Sometimes they'll add in little quotes about gratitude, but that's all it is. It's just lines after lines after lines, nothing fancy. Um, so you could certainly treat yourself to this. You could get any notebook that you want. It doesn't have to be a gratitude journal, any notebook. And you can just write things down. If you want to do 1 thing a day, 3 things a day, 5 things a day, make it your own, make it whatever you want, but make it meaningful. For me, I can handle 3 things a day. That's something I can commit to. If it became more than that, if it was something I had to do twice a day, I probably wouldn't do it. So I have to find my sweet spot for it's easy enough and meaningful enough. So figure out what your sweet spot is. I have clients who also do gratitude journaling on their phones. There are a lot of apps for that. Me personally, I really like to have it written down and I keep all of my journals. It's fun to go back and look at them. But other people really like to do it on their phone. So if that works for you, download one of those apps and log in and fill out your journal every day. So, the thing about gratitude journaling is it can be anything that you're grateful for. And this is such a good exercise every day to go through the process of, wow, what has happened in my life today? Or just what's existing in my life right now that I'm so grateful for. Now, sometimes I find that I easily have three things and they might feel kind of big to me. And so it's super easy to fill out. And some days, like every other human on this planet, I just have days that completely stink. And I have a hard time thinking of anything that I'm feeling grateful for. That doesn't mean that there aren't an abundance of things to be grateful for. But when I'm in that energy, it's just hard to connect with those things. But I force myself to think of something anyway. And sometimes it's something as simple as a cozy pillow, a warm blanket, the heater that keeps me warm, a dinner that was delicious. So we get back to the basics. And you know what? There's a lot of good in being reminded of the basics. I think if 2020 has taught us nothing else, it is to not take for granted anything, right? So just know that your gratitude practice is going to ebb and flow. There will be days you want to do it, days you don't want to do it, days where it's easy, days where it's hard, days where it really inspires you and fills your cup, and days where it doesn't do anything for you. And that's totally normal and totally okay. What I would encourage you to do is stick with it, because it's not just about how it's going to help you feel in that moment. But remember that muscle memory I was talking about, where you're practicing this way of thinking. And every time you pause and ask yourself, what am I grateful for? You're teaching your brain how to find the good. And the more you practice that, the more that's going to become your default mode. And when that is your default mode and you really see the world through this lens of gratitude, I guarantee you, you can't help but feel more joyful. Okay. So practice your gratitude journal every day. Now, sometimes life gets really busy for me and I, don't write in it for 3 or 4 days. That's totally okay. I just sit down and I've got 4 days to fill out. And so I'm going to think of 12 things I'm grateful for. And I'll go back through those days that I didn't fill it out and think what was going on in my life that day. Is there anything in particular that I want to jot down from that day that I'm grateful for? And if not, that's okay. Then I'm just challenged to think of 12 things in this moment that I'm grateful for. So I guess part of what I'm saying too is be flexible. This does not have to be a perfect practice. We certainly don't want to put a lot of rigidity or rules around it, because the harder you make it for yourself, the less likely you're going to do it. Do the best you can. Keep it somewhere. If you choose to get a book or a journal, keep it somewhere that you'll see it every day. For me, I keep it at my desk. For others, it's their nightstand. It might be your bathroom, wherever you want to keep it so that you're more likely to see it and fill it out. If you do it on your phone, the wonderful thing about that is you can usually set a notification to pop up on your phone reminding you to do it. Okay. So that's going to be a practice that is going to have so much power and influence in how you feel. So if you want to set a goal for yourself for this year, I highly encourage you to set the goal of doing your gratitude journal. It's simple, it is meaningful, and it can have a profound impact on not only how you feel, but how you see the world, how you show up in the world, and your gratitude will be infectious. People around you will be drawn to you because you just bring this light energy that says, like, you know what? Life is good, even when everything around me looks bad, feels bad, sounds bad, is bad. I can still find good things in the midst of all of that. And that is just a beautiful space to live in. So I hope you found this hack helpful. I hope that it is a good start for you in thinking about, how you can implement some very small but meaningful changes as we head into this wonderful new year. For those of you who choose to start your gratitude practice, I would love to hear about it. How do you do it? Do you get a specific journal? Do you just use a notebook? Do you do it on your phone? Maybe you don't use anything like that. Maybe it's an internal process that you do through prayer or through connecting out in nature. But I would love to hear all about it. Share with each other. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys back here next week. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.